Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today is the 1st of January 2024 and today we'll be discussing the latest going on in the Russian-Ukraine conflict. We have a lot to go through. First off, this is not my map. I'm pretty sure you guys may be familiar with this map. This is the map of a channel, fellow YouTube channel, military blogger, military summary. So let's get into it. First off, Russia launched massive strikes on Odessa, as you can see from this video. The damage was pretty severe in certain areas, and this video you can see the Ukrainian air defense trying to stop the Russian attacks. Also, Ukraine did launch drone boat attacks, sea drone attacks on Sevastopol. There hasn't been any like videos or photos yet of recording this video of the damage it did, but as you can see, that's the drone firing the missiles, whatever it carries on it. Funny that actually in his New Year's speech, President Volodymyr Zelensky did say they had over 1 million drones and they were going to be attacking Russia from land, sea, and air. Also in Krinky, the Ukrainian foothold that has not moved in like the past 2 months. The Russians did a couple weeks ago try storming the area. It didn't work out too well for them. They're all drone attacks, both sides all attacking each other pretty hard. I'm not going to show it because the casualties on the other opponent side, the Ukrainians and Russians, did suffer some casualties, and YouTube would frown upon that. And Russia did bomb this area over here. Moving on to Robotyne, the focus for most military bloggers during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. The Ukrainian gains around Robotyne are quickly being evaporated. All this that the Ukrainians took, they're slowly but surely withdrawing from, and Russia is making pretty big gains for what you. So it would take Ukraine like a week to take a trench, finally have it 100% under their control. Now that Russia is counterattacking, it's taking them like a day, and they're pushing forward. Other people are saying Ukraine's going to try and withdraw from Robotyne and move up to here. I don't think Ukraine's going to do that without a fight, just because how long it took and the focus that was on Robotyne. But they could easily lose Robotyne, because if Ukraine were to keep Robotyne in 2024 when they do their next counteroffensive, if they attack from this area, they can attack Novoprovka with the strength that they brought onto Robotyne and more, because they did not start off in Robotyne. They had to capture some villages before Robotyne, and the Russians don't want that. The Russians want the Ukrainians to start off from square one, and that's seems like the Russians all trying to take back the land. So again, over here, Ukrainian artillery system was destroyed by a Russian drone or missile. Now moving on to Nova Mikhailivka, this area over here, the Russians have intensified the attack here. They have gained basically all the land they need to before storming the city. However, it did not come without losses. There was a ton of videos of destroyed Russian vehicles, as this one shows. I believe this is a Russian because it's under Russian control, and he looks like he's in the Russian uniform. But I'm going to speed it up a bit so you guys can see. Basically, he's just walking through the graveyard of destroyed Russian vehicles and destroyed Russian tanks, destroyed Russian BMPs, destroyed Russian just vehicles for their soldiers. As you can see, there's a lot of destroyed vehicles, and those are completely destroyed. It's not like you can fix that. So, and Russia did do some attacks with drones. Again, I'm not going to show those videos because the violence on those videos, and the Ukrainians did have some soldiers killed or wounded, and YouTube would frown upon that. So recently, a couple days ago, Ukraine attacked Belgorod with cluster rounds. Now they have attacked Donetsk with cluster rounds. And as you can see, this was the bombing of the Ukrainians. I'm going to turn down the volume because I don't know what the person's saying. But as you can see, those are the cluster rounds that are hitting the city. There are some pictures and videos of the damage. In this video, the damage was pretty severe. And that's why I believe Russia attacked Odessa today. So basically, Ukraine struck Odessa. I don't know why. The pro-Ukrainian military bloggers obviously said they were military generals. They were high officials, and the pro-Russian military bloggers said they did it as just to attack humans, because that's what the Ukrainians do. That's what the pro-Russian military bloggers said. Over here on this video, you can see the Ukrainians destroying a Russian air defense system, and basically at this moment, it got destroyed, hit with a, I don't know what that was, probably a HEMO strike or something like that. It could also have been a drone. So moving on to Avdiivka, we have nothing from the fronts except for Stopove front. The Russians, honestly, are getting annihilated near Stopove. There's one video that I counted 60 dead Russians in one video in one field. The field, it was not over a mile long. 60 dead Russians. There's a ton of video footage of the Russian losses. I'm not going to show it here because, of course, YouTube would frown upon that. And the Ukrainians did make a kind of push back over here where they took some of these tree lines. The best thing for the Russians to do is to hold out over here, and the Ukrainians, in my opinion, are going to try to do some type of counterattack to get them out of this railroad line, because if they get them out of there, they can't sit in the open fields, because that's suicide, even though staying here is pretty much suicide as well. So they would have to move back over here. As you can see over here, this just destroyed Russian armor fighting vehicles, BMPs, tanks. It's no destroyed infantry because I previewed this video before, so YouTube wouldn't give me a strike. But as you can see, this what I compare Stopove to is Russia's Robotine. So Ukraine lost a ton of vehicles trying to get into Robotine, and even before in their advanced tools Robotine. I would compare that to Russia's Robotine. Of course, Ukrainian FPV drone strikes on Russian personnel. We're not going to watch those videos for obvious reasons. Now moving on to Klishivka, Bakhmut front. I would say the most successful front of the Russians right now. The Russians have made rapid gains and have actually been pushing towards Klishivka and Avdiivka. As you can see, this area is in the gray zone, and Russia was bombing with drones Ukrainian infantry. Same over here, Ukrainians were bombing Russian infantry. The Russians probably are going to push further in Bakhmut. I believe that because the Russian immediate attack on Avdiivka and that Ukraine wanted to save Avdiivka, that Ukraine pulled troops from Bakhmut, and now Russia has advantage over here, and I believe Russia will push, and they could even capture this town over here, this village over here, and could retake Klishivka and Avdiivka, and that would just be very much a failure for the Ukrainians because how long it took them in their summer counteroffensive to take that area. In Sinkivka, there have been no geolocated footage. However, the Russians did basically get their behinds handed to them in this area. They were annihilated in this area. Their vehicles were, at least. They have stopped their attacks on Sinkivka. As far as the video and photos are concerned, they are probably regrouping or something like that. I remember their first attacks on Sinkivka around October, late September, and there were reports that they had taken the village. The Ukrainians still have managed to hold on to this village. I don't know how long they will, but so far the Russians have barely made any progress around the village. However, they have made significant gains for how the pace of this war is going around the tree lines and the forest. So the Russians' best, in my opinion, their best plan would be to try to come across and take like the forest or around this area, so they could, because if you have a problem like Sinkivka and the Russians have not been doing really well in Sinkivka, you may want to try to encircle it to the point that the Ukrainians retreat from Sinkivka. I believe that would be Russia's best area to attack if they were trying to take Sinkivka. Again, the Russians have bombed the Ukrainian positions near the border. We're not going to watch that video because casualties from the Ukrainian side. However, there's been a lot going on around the border, around Sumy, around Kharkiv. So I don't know if Russia's preparing offensive. I hope Ukraine's not preparing offensive, because everybody knows you just don't invade Russia. The Germans tried that in World War II. Napoleon tried it. They never won. So I believe Russia is going to launch some type of offensive into Sumy or Kharkiv, either Russia or Ukraine, in 2024. People may say it's crazy for Ukraine to do it, but from their standpoint, if they capture, let's say, Belgorod or some of Russian's territory, they could now start exchanging their land for Russian land and stuff like that. I honestly think that would be very stupid for the Ukrainians to do. However, they may try to do that because it is getting pretty desperate on the Ukrainian side. Russian drone attacks in Kyiv, however, as you can see, that's a drone going around Kyiv area. So that's basically it for today's Ukraine update. Make sure you guys like this video, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe, join the fact on me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.